Good day everyone, I'm your Mr. ATL and welcome back to my channel. So today's video lesson, we are going to discuss about the three types of proportion. So at the end of this video lesson, you are expected to identify the different kinds of proportion and write real-life situations for each. Another one, solve problems involving direct, inverse, and partitive proportion. Various word problems are solved using the concept of proportion. However, it is important that you know the relationship exists between the variable before solving any proportion problem. So let us identify if the proportion involves a direct proportion, an inverse proportion, or a partitive proportion. Let's start. Example number 1. 3 boxes of candy cost 195 pesos. How much do 8 boxes of candy cost? Okay, so in our given, the 3 boxes is 195 pesos. For 8 boxes is unknown. That is why it is blank pesos. Okay, so looking at this, the 3 boxes and 8 boxes, that which is our first variable. The other one, 195 pesos and blank pesos, is the other variable, which is the amount of money. Okay, so looking at their arrangement, the first term of the two ratios or the antecedent are the number of boxes. The consequent or the next term of the ratios are the amount of money. So be careful of the arrangement of your terms. Again, number of boxes is to cost equals number of boxes is to cost. Again, the first term of the proportion is the number of boxes, which is also the antecedent of the first ratio, and that would be also the antecedent of your next ratio. Also, the second term of the first ratio is the cost, therefore, the second term of the second ratio is also the cost. Again, be careful of the arrangement of your terms. Okay, so if you are going to look at the given, the number of boxes are 3 and 8. So 3 and 8. From 3, it becomes 8. The trend is increasing. The other variable is the cost or the amount of money. From 195, it becomes x. So what do you expect with the value of x there? Is that higher than 195 or lower than 195? If you're going to analyze the given situation here, 3 boxes is 195 pesos. For 8 boxes, what do you expect with the amount of money? Okay, so obviously, you have to expect that it should be higher than 195. Meaning to say, for the first variable or the number of boxes increases from 3 becomes 8. So that is increasing. For 195, and since we are expecting that it will become higher than 195, the trend is also increasing. So if the first variable is increasing and the second variable is increasing, therefore that is direct proportion. By the way, I will be putting the symbols first. Okay? So Again, this is an example of direct proportion. So how do we solve for this? To solve for this, we will multiply the means. 195 multiplied by 8 is 1560, and multiply the extremes. 3 multiplied by x is 3x. So equals 3x. And to find the value of x, we need to divide it both sides by 3. And it will be cancelled. So therefore, the remaining terms, or let's divide it first, 1560 divided by 3 is 520 equals to, the remaining term there is x. So therefore, your x equals 520. So therefore, for 8 boxes of candy, cost 520 pesos. Okay? Example number 2. 5 boxes of candy cost 325 pesos. How much do 2 boxes of candy cost? So again, for 5 boxes, it is 325 pesos. And we are being asked how much do 2 boxes of candy cost? So that is blank pesos. So let us analyze this again first. So the first term of your two ratios will be the 5 boxes and 2 boxes. And for the second terms of your ratios will be 325 pesos and blank pesos, since we do not know yet. Okay, so for the arrangement of the variables, it should be like this. Number of boxes is to cost equals number of boxes is to cost. So for the number of boxes, again, those are your antecedents, or the first term and the third term of your proportion. The cost is your second term, and cost again for the fourth term. So for the number of boxes, it's 5 and 2. So I'll be writing it as 5 and 2. For the cost, we have 325 and x, since we do not know what's that represent for, and we're going to solve for that. So next, let us write the symbols first. As you can see, for 5 boxes, it costs 325. So from 5, it becomes 2, and that is decreasing. So for 5 boxes is 325. So what do you expect if you are trying to buy 2 boxes only? Would that be higher than 325 or lower than 325? So of course, you are expected that the value for the x should be lower than 325. So therefore, this is also decreasing. 5 becomes 2, decreasing. 325 becomes blank, and that will be lower than 325. So that is decreasing also. So let us solve. By the way, since the two variables are decreasing, it is direct proportion. So once again, let us solve for the value of x. Multiply the means, it's 650. Multiply the extremes, 5 times x is 5x. To solve for x, we need to get rid of that 5 by dividing both sides by the numerical coefficient of x, which is 5. So 650 divided by 5, by the way, this will be cancelled. So dividing it, it will become 130 equals to x. So therefore, your x is 130. So it should be 130 there. So again, if we are going to analyze, 5 becomes 2. That is decreasing. 325 becomes 130. Of course, that is decreasing. And in direct proportion, if the two variables are both increasing at the same rate or both decreasing at the same rate, that is direct proportion. Okay? Example number 3. A supply of food is enough to feed 10 persons for 2 days. If 30 more people join the camp, how long will the food last? So, in our given, the 10 people will share the food for 2 days. The question is, if there are 40 people, how long will the food last? Okay, so looking at the arrangement of our terms in this proportion or in our two ratios, 10 people and 40 people are situated on the first part of our ratios or the antecedent. And for the number of days, it is situated on the last part or the consequent of our ratios. Okay, so again, the two variables given there are the number of people and the number of days. People is to days equals people is to days. So be careful of the arrangement. Okay, so people and to people, days and to days. So we are going to look at the trend of the people and the days, the number of days. So for the people, we have 10 and 40. So 10 and 40. Next, for the number of days, we have 2 and blank. And blank, we will be using a variable x. So let us look at the trend of the numbers. So from 10, it becomes 40. So what is the trend from 10 becomes 40? Of course, it is increasing. Now, looking on the other variable, 2 becomes x. So let us analyze. For 10 people, they will be sharing the food for 2 days. Okay, but 10 people will increase. It will become 40 people. Okay, so will the food last longer than 2 days or shorter than 2 days? Of course, you will be expecting that it will become lower than 2 days. Okay, because there are because 30 people, 30 more people added to the number of person, of course it will last for only longer shorter than 2 days. So therefore it will be decreasing. So for the number of people is increasing, the number of days is decreasing. So let us put the symbols first. So that is the inverse proportion. So in solving inverse proportion, it is different from solving direct proportion. Be careful of solving it because we are going to use this one. We will multiply 10 by 2 equals to 40 times x. Then we will multiply 10 multiplied by 2, that is 20. And the other one, 40 multiplied by x is 40x. So we will find the value of x. Therefore, we need to get rid of the numerical coefficient of x, which is 40. So we need to divide it both sides by 40. So dividing it both sides by 40, we will get, or let us cancel first the 40 over 40, which is 1. The remaining term there will be x. But 20 over 40, it is not 2. Be careful of that. So we have a common factor or greatest common factor of 20. So let's divide it for the numerator and denominator. 20 divided by 20 is 1. Then 40 divided by 20 is 2. So we will get 1/2. Okay? So therefore, If there are 40 people will share for the same food, it will last for only 1/2 days. Okay? So the final answer there is 1/2. So let us have another example. Example number 4. A supply of food is enough to feed 50 persons for 10 days. If 20 people only join the camp, how long will the food last? Okay, so in our given, 50 people will be sharing the food for 10 days. So for 20 people, how many days will the food last? Okay, so let us look at the arrangement of our terms in the two ratios. So the number of people is situated on the first term of our ratios, or the antecedent. For the number of days, situated on the next or on the second term of our ratios, or the consequent. Okay, so this will be the arrangement. People is to days equals people is to days. So the number of people, from 50 it becomes 20, so that is decreasing. From 50 becomes 20, that is decreasing. For the number of days, what will happen? So let us write first the given. So for the number of people, we have 50 and 20. 50 and 20. Then for the number of days, we have 10, then blank. So let us analyze. So there are 50 persons that will share the food, and the food will last for 10 days. Okay, but if there are only 20 people, what will happen? Will the food last longer than 10 days or shorter than 10 days? Of course, that will become longer than 10 days because the number of person decreases. Okay? So from 50 becomes 20, that is decreasing. From 10, so of course you will be expecting that the number of days will become longer than 10 days. So meaning to say, it will become larger than 10 days, or larger than 10, or that will become increasing. Okay? So your x will be higher than 10. So let us repeat. From 50 becomes 20, that is decreasing. From 10 becomes higher than 10, that is increasing. So for the first variable is decreasing, the second variable is increasing. So that is what we call the inverse proportion. So let us put the symbols first. And this is the equal sign. So again, the first variable, or for the number of people, is decreasing. The number of days, or the second variable, the number of days, is increasing. Decreasing, increasing, that is inverse. Okay, that is inverse proportion. So let us solve for the variable x. When dealing with inverse proportion, we will not follow the product of the means is equal to the product of the extremes. We will just multiply these terms. 50 multiplied by 10 equals 20 multiplied by x. So let us multiply. We have 500 equals to 20 times x is 20x. So dividing it both sides by 20, so that will become, let's cancel this first. So 500 over 20 is 25. So therefore, if 20 people only join the camp, the food will last for 25 days, and that is higher than 10 days. Okay, so let us have another example. Example number 5. If 3 men can paint a room in 8 days, then how many men are needed to finish the same job in 4 days? So in our given, there are 3 people that will work in 8 days. And how many people will be painting the room for 4 days? So is that higher than 3 or lower than 3? Okay, we will see it later. So let us just look at the arrangement of our terms in the two ratios. So 3 people and blank people are situated for as the antecedent, and then 8 days and 4 days for our consequent. So we can write it as a proportion where we have people is to days equals number of people is to the number of days. Okay, so now let us write the given people and people. How many? We have 3 and then blank. So we will use the variable x. 3 and then x. So for the next variables, we have days. Okay, so we have 8 days and 4 days. So we will have 8 and 4. So let us write the symbols first and let us analyze about its trend. So if we are going to analyze the problem once again, 3 men will be painting the room in 8 days. So if you want to finish the same job in 4 days, what are you going to do with the number of men? Are you going to add more? Are you going to add more number of men there? Or you're going to lessen the number of people that will be working to finish the same job? Okay, so of course you need to add more people to work together so that they can finish the job in 4 days. So from 3, of course it will become higher than 3. Again, from 3 and you are expecting that x will be higher than 3, so that is increasing. Okay, that is increasing. But for the number of days, 8 becomes 4, that is decreasing. So we have increasing for the first variable, we have decreasing for the second variable. Therefore, this is an inverse proportion. Okay, so how are we going to solve for inverse proportion? We will multiply 3 and 8, and on the other side, x and 4. So 3 times 8, we have 24. Then x times 4 is 4x. Then solving for x, divide both sides by 4. So divide by 4, cancel that 4, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. So therefore, you need 6 people to finish the job in just 4 days. So as you can see, we added 3 more people to finish the same job. Okay, so once again, that is the inverse proportion. Let's go to the next example. Example number 5. If 3 men can paint a room in 8 days, then how many men are needed to finish the same job in 4 days? So in our given, there are 3 people that will work in 8 days. And how many people will be painting the room for 4 days? So is that higher than 3 or lower than 3? Okay, we will see it later. So let us just look at the arrangement of our terms in the two ratios. So 3 people and blank people are situated for as the antecedent, and then 8 days and 4 days for our consequent. So we can write it as a proportion where we have people is to days equals number of people is to the number of days. Okay, so now let us write the given people and people. how many? We have 3 and then blank. So we will use the variable x. 3 and then x. So for the next variables, we have days. Okay, so we have 8 days and 4 days. So we will have 8 and 4. So let us write the symbols first and let us analyze about its trend. So if we are going to analyze the problem once again, 3 men will be painting the room in 8 days. So if you want to finish the same job in 4 days, what are you going to do with the number of men? Are you going to add more? Are you going to add more number of men there? Or you're going to lessen the number of people that will be working to finish the same job? Okay, so of course you need to add more people to work together so that they can finish the job in 4 days. So from 3, of course it will become higher than 3. Again, from 3 and you are expecting that x will be higher than 3, so that is increasing. Okay, that is increasing. But for the number of days, 8 becomes 4, that is decreasing. So we have increasing for the first variable, we have decreasing for the second variable. Therefore, this is an inverse proportion. Okay, so how are we going to solve for inverse proportion? We will multiply 3 and 8, and on the other side, x and 4. So 3 times 8, we have 24. Then x times 4 is 4x. Then solving for x, divide both sides by 4. So divide by 4, cancel that 4, and 24 divided by 4 is 6. So therefore, you need 6 people to finish the job in just 4 days. So as you can see, we added 3 more people to finish the same job. Okay, so once again, that is the inverse proportion. Let's go to the next example. Example number 7. 40 students took a mathematics test after finishing a course. How many failed in this test if the ratio of those who passed to those who failed the test was 6:2? So note that the 40 students were divided in the ratio or the partition of 6:2. So therefore, this is a partitive proportion. So we are going to use n as our greatest common factor for the ratio 6:2. So we're going to add 6n plus n to get a total of 40. Okay? So once again, our n represents the greatest common factor. So 6n plus 2n, that is 8n, then bring down equals 40. So let us find first the value of n, or the greatest common factor. So we need to divide it both sides by 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1 or cancel. Then 40 divided by 8 is 5. Therefore, n equals 5. That will be our greatest common factor to be used to find the answer. So that will be 6:2, and it becomes 6n plus 2n because of the greatest common factor n, and we find it already, which is 5. So but we are only being asked how many students failed in that test. So 6 for those who passed and 2 for those who failed. Okay, so be careful that the arrangement of the given variables are very important. So 2 multiplied by n, which is 5, that is 2 times 5. And therefore, that is 10. So there were 10 students who failed the test. Okay, so if you are being asked for how many students who passed the said test. So 6 multiplied by 5, that is 30, and 30 plus 10 is 40, and that is the totality of the number of students who took the mathematics test. But the final answer is only 10 because we are being asked how many students failed in that test. Okay, let's go to the next example. Example number 8. Agents X, Y, and Z were able to sell 225 boxes of candies in the ratio of 2:3:4 respectively. Meaning to say, 2 is for the agent X, 3 is for the agent Y, and 4 is for the agent Z. So the question is, how many boxes of candies did each agent sell? So once again, let us note that this is a partitive proportion. Why? Because the 225 boxes of candies were divided into the ratio or into the partition of 2:3:5. So there is a partition, therefore it's a partitive proportion. So let us find the greatest common factor to be multiplied by 2, 3, and 4 and to come up with the totality of 225. So that is 2n plus 3n plus 4n equals to 225. Okay, adding this 2, 3, and 4, that will give us 9n. Then bring down 225. Then let us solve for n. Divide both sides by 9. So 9 divided by 9 is cancelled, or 1. And 225 divided by 9 is 25. So our greatest common factor is 25. Okay? So we will have 2n, 3n, and 4n. That is for the partition. And our n is 25. But we are being asked how many boxes of candies did each. So we are going to find for the number of boxes of candies for agents X, Y, and Z. So for 2n, that is 2 multiplied by the value of n, which is 25, and 2 times 25 is 50. For 3n is 3 multiplied by 25 equals 75. And 4 multiplied by 25 is 100. So therefore, for agent X, agent X was able to sell 50 boxes. For agent Y is 75 boxes, and for agent Z is 100 boxes. Okay, so that's all for today. I hope you enjoy learning about the 3 types of proportion, which are the direct proportion, inverse proportion, and partitive proportion. So remember that for direct proportion, the variables are both increasing. It can be increasing for the first variable, then increasing also for the second variable. It could also be decreasing for the first variable and decreasing for the second variable. But in inverse proportion, the first variable is increasing and the other variable is decreasing, or the first variable is decreasing and the other variable is increasing, and vice versa. So, but in partitive proportion, there is a partition of the given number. Okay, so before I end up my video, I would like to give my special thanks to Mr. Elvin Daligan, and I hope you learned something. Goodbye!